the generation of the verses from the consciousness of the teacher is a journey in and of itself. It's not just finding something. One of the previous schools, and so also I think it's important to think about the journey that the child's taking, and even though these verses might be updated each year, they're very much a question to the child, you know, about who are you. It's not putting anything on the child, but it's a question, and it's meant to be a support. It's meant to be a seeing, and it's, I think, akin to certain aspects of therapeutic practice. Of if we're truly seen, then something in us relaxes. And that's another aspect of the training that Steiner Waldorf teachers go through in terms of self-reflection, of self-examination, and of just resting in our own being at quite a deep level. In middle school, it sometimes drops away with the challenge of young adolescents, 13-year-olds, don't want to do my birthday verses, there's a silliness to them, and then there's a challenge. It can, however, be incredibly powerful if we can match the level of storm and intensity of feeling that happens in adolescence with verses themselves. So in one of my previous schools, what I did is I actually used the developmental journey in the curriculum of the Renaissance, class 7, of the rediscovery of lost wisdom that happened at that point in time, in terms of the birthday verses. So I actually sourced, and that's what this document is. This is a resource for middle school recitations and birthday verses. And the one that we've got here, I've included here because there was a child, a young teenager, who I chose this as a birthday verse for, but I never gave it to her. So I gave her something milder. And the reason for this, she was a previously looked after child, a PLAC, and all the way through the choosing of birthday verses for each of the children, it really became apparent that the differentiation in terms of expectations and expected attainment, particularly for disadvantaged students, can be really supported by well-chosen birthday verses that really support their self-expectation. And it's fundamentally an honouring of another human being. It's acknowledging a core essence. And again, it comes back to pedagogical intuition. So this whole idea, clearly from Oedipus Rex, but I account myself a child of fortune, beneficent fortune, and I shall not be dishonoured. This was a child who was being bullied because of her social context in an otherwise quite privileged class. And I never gave this to her, but even by having chosen this for her and knowing that I'd done that, it really shaped my consciousness of the class dynamic. Does that make sense? It
links for me in the meditations that we do for children in the evening.
Right.
So bringing the children that we've worked with during the day to mind and spending a few seconds, but there's something in that kind of process that is akin to this for me, that you're bringing out, and something perhaps quite unique, quite beautiful, quite insightful can come from just spending 30 seconds, 20 seconds thinking about each child.
Yes, absolutely.
In class. And then nothing changes in terms of your interaction, but everything changes in your interaction.
Yes, absolutely. It's like you're in a preparation, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, thank you. And there's one other one that I want to read to you now, that I think that for middle school and upper school, one of the biggest dangers is for students to feel as though they're on their own. The chaos that comes with adolescence and the intensity of feeling is such that often students and teenagers can feel isolated, and they can feel that nobody feels as intensely as they do. And I think there's an opportunity with the richness of the material, particularly in middle school and in the classics, that in a very poetic way, in a very beautiful way, describes intense emotion. It somehow, in my experience, helps students, teenagers feel less alone, feel more met and connected in the world. And so this is from the Steiner. And again, this is a verse that I never gave to a student. So I'm choosing two here to read to you that I'd never actually given, because it would have felt too exposing for him in the class. But this was a child who felt so very, very deeply and felt so very isolated. So, oh, the torment bred in the race, the grinding scream of death, and the stroke that hits the vein, the hemorrhage none can staunch, the grief, the curse no man can bear. But there is a cure in the house, and not outside it, no. Not from others, but from them, their bloody strife. We sing to you, dark gods beneath the earth. Now hear, you blissful powers underground. Answer the call, send help, bless the children, give them triumph now. I love that. And I love it because it feels as though it really calls to the ultimate intensity of human experience and offers a helping hand. And I think that with the talk of an epidemic of mental health issues in adolescence, it's that kind of material in the curriculum that can help meet the children.